This is a really short introduction to the 1619 Project, which is a series of essays and writings that we are going to use to frame our discussions of American history this semester. So I wanted to take a chance to explain to you what the 1619 Project is. You will be using the 1619 Project and reading parts of it constantly throughout the semester. So I wanted to give you a really short introduction to what is this project and why is it important and what are we going to do with it this semester. So the 1619 Project is an ongoing project developed by the New York Times Magazine in 2019 with the main goal of re-examining the legacy of slavery in the United States. It is named after the year in which the first recorded evidence of enslaved Africans in British North America exists. Part of the intention of this series was to highlight the 400th anniversary of this date while also asking readers to rethink what they may know about race and slavery in American history. The editor of this project is the woman you see on the right of this slide. Nikole Hannah-Jones is a reporter for the New York Times. She served as the main editor for this project, though several well-known reporters, scholars, and activists also made contributions to the project. Hannah-Jones wrote a very personal essay about her experience of race and racism, which serves to frame the discussions and essays written by the various contributors. In the spring of 2020, Hannah-Jones won a Pulitzer Prize for her work on the 1619 Project. So this is something that is very much in the public domain at this particular point in time. And with the events of spring and summer 2020, there's been sort of renewed interest and focus on the 1619 Project. And it's made quite a splash in terms of its reception, both by a popular audience, but also with among historians as well. So the 1619 Project has stimulated much discussion and debate. Some of it is supportive and some of it argues against the ideas presented in the essays. In addition to the original essays, the New York Times has held a number of podcasts related to the project, as have had several major historical organizations. And the New York Times is also currently working with the Peabody Institute to develop curriculum that could easily be integrated in K-12 schools. So you see this is having a big influence on our discussions about race and the legacy of race in the United States. Hannah-Jones and other contributors make several important observations in their essays. For example, Hannah-Jones argues that the year 1619 should be considered the founding moment of our nation rather than 1776 and the beginning of the American Revolution. She says that this is because one of the defining aspects of American society, systemic racism, was established in 1619 with the importation of the first enslaved Africans into the Chesapeake. She then recounts how white Americans have expended considerable energy to protect and preserve their racial privilege, and she offers an understanding of American history that is premised on this idea. For example, she argues that some American colonists fought the American Revolution as a way to protect slavery, making this landmark moment in American history about the forced enslavement of others rather than the beginning of American freedom as has traditionally been argued. This is a quote in this slide from taken directly from the 1619 Project, and you can see the argument that she's developing. She says, our democracy's founding ideals were false when they were written. Black Americans have fought to make them true. The good thing about the 1619 Project is that it does begin with a focus on 1619, but Hannah-Jones' essay, combined with the other contributors to this project, they explore many different aspects of American history all the way up through the present. So it does begin 400 years ago, but it does go up through the present. And through that time, they trace the important legacy of race, racism, and slavery and the continuing impact that that has on American society through the present. Having said that, the arguments presented in the 1619 Project have not gone uncontested. On the right, you're seeing an article from The Atlantic that summarizes the historical fights over the 1619 project. And on the left, you're seeing a group of historians who are more from the conservative side of the political spectrum, who have established the 1776 project as a counterpoint to the 1619 project. And by establishing that 1776 project, they are highlighting the continued importance of that year for understanding American democracy and the founding of the new American nation. So, as I said, it has not been the ideas of the 1619 project have not been uncontested. Several prominent and well-known historians, including Gordon Wood and James McPherson, have claimed that the project is misleading and historically inaccurate. Their main objections have been that the 1619 project lacks critical context, misrepresents quotes by key figures of the time, and lacks historical facts to support its overall argument. That's at least what they say about the 1619 project in their own criticism. One critic of the project said that it was preposterous and a one-dimensional reading of the American past. So this semester, I would like for us to use the 1619 project as a framework for exploring American history. To do this, I am asking you to spend some time reading and reflecting on both the 1619 project essays, as well as some of the responses from the historians who are arguing against what is presented in the 1619 project essays. Then, as we move through this course and through our discussions of American history, I would like for you to constantly revisit what you've learned from reading the 1619 project and develop your own arguments about the legacy of race, racism, and slavery in the United States. You will be exposed to a variety of facts, ideas, and narratives, and I'm asking you to keep an open mind as we engage in this discussion. You will be developing your own argument, some of which may agree or support the work of Hannah Jones and the project, and some of your ideas may challenge or complicate this project in certain ways. And that's okay. History is messy. It is not a set of facts to be memorized and regurgitated on an exam. I would like to ask that you get comfortable with the idea of history as an extended discussion that can be complex and offer no easy answers. So to do that, you have to keep an open mind, be open to being challenged, and step outside of your comfort zone. But you also need to engage with the readings, with the lectures, engage with your classmates, make up your own mind about some of these topics that we'll be exploring. But when you make up your mind, make sure that it's supported by facts, it's supported by well-reasoned arguments, and that you've done your due diligence and you've done your research and you're able to defend your positions using the facts and the arguments and the evidence that you've got. That's one of the key things that I want you to get out of this class is how do you make up your mind? How do you determine what information supports your ideas or what information complicates your ideas? And how do you build a coherent argument using rational facts, rational data, and supporting that from a position of strength based off of the knowledge that you've gathered. So it can, as I said, it can be a little bit messy. It does require you to step outside of your comfort zone. But what we're going to do is use the 1619 project as a way to frame our understanding of American history. And as I said, sometimes you may find yourself agreeing with what's being said in the 1619 project. Other times you may find yourself disagreeing, and that's okay as long as you do so from a place of engagement with the data and engagement with the sources that we'll be studying.